a lot of people are hesitant when it comes to the remakes of most movies, especially horror movies. To be honest, I'm kind of indifferent about it because, I really like horror movies and I'm often a very big fan of the slashers that are featured, especially the classic horror icons like Jason Voorhees, for example. I usually try to check it out and give it a chance and see how it turns out and formulate my own opinion before jumping on the bandwagon of thinking it's shitty right before I even see it. So anyway, today I'm going to be reviewing the Friday the 13th remake. It's hard to say exactly what movie it was remade from because, well, it's got the essence of the first movie, as we all know, but because Pamela, his mother, was the killer in the first movie, and Jason did not come in until the second movie, it's kind of hard to say. But then again, at the same time, because the movie starts off with Jason having the big bag over his head, like in the second movie, and then he gets his mask in the third movie, it's kind of hard to say whether or not it's based on Friday the 13th Part 2 or Friday the 13th Part 3. So it's very hard to say exactly where the movie comes from, since usually remakes are based on a certain type of the movie, usually the first one. Well, anyway, I'm just going to get started on this right now. We're going to start with, well, the very piece of resistance, la pièce de résistance of the movie, which is, of course, Jason Voorhees, the antagonist star of all the movies, besides the first one, of course. Okay, so this is my take on Jason in this movie. I have to say, I was quite surprised, because in this movie, Jason is a lot more clever than he usually is. He's, as one of my friends describes it, street smart. Yeah, he basically has very good instincts and has a very unique way of killing his victims and preying on them. Because usually in his other movies, we think of him as a mindless zombie. But yeah, in this movie, he's actually a bit more clever than he usually would be and has a very interesting style. So I have to say they kept his image very well, just made him a couple of steps smarter, yet still maintaining the fact that he's, and I quote, a complete retard. Yeah. So they pulled off Jason very well, except for the fact that in most of his movies, he has a very memorable and very unique kind of way of killing. In this movie, as good as his kills were, I gotta say, they were, very expected from what you'd expect, in a typical genre of horror and slashing and everything like that. Don't get me wrong, they were really good and very, very Jason-like, but yeah, in a lot of his movies you'd expect something a little more creative. But at the same time, it was good and everything, and I have no complaints about that. The storyline itself is kind of cliche when it comes to Friday the 13th movies, but when it comes to cliches, everybody knows them. So, yeah, the story itself is very good. From a writer's point of view, it's, really clever, really nicely written, and just what you'd expect from a Friday the 13th movie. I'm not going to give anything away, but I just gotta say there's quite a bit in there that really makes you kind of think and see Jason in a whole new, different kind of a light, And, of course, the plot itself, it has the same old thing of the kids coming into the woods, and Jason, of course, getting angry that they're trespassing, and, well, kills them. Just like they always do. But hey, that's Friday the 13th for you. That's what you'd expect, and that's the originality of it all. Now, another thing I want to bring up about the fact that it's a remake and not another sequel, which I know a lot of the fans have been waiting for, or not waiting for, I have to say that after what's happened in his previous movies, and also with his previous appearance, his recent one in Freddy vs. Jason, it would have been very hard to make another remake after what had happened in that movie. Although then again, when you look at the ending of that one, it's kind of ambiguous, I'd say. Well, I guess in a way they were smart to make a remake and kind of start fresh, but keep the essence of what Friday the 13th is about. But at the same time, yeah, I can see why. Well, anyway, moving along. In a lot of ways, though, this movie is actually a really good breath of fresh air. Because, if you're like me and you're a fan of Friday the 13th and then you hear a new movie's coming out, of course you're going to be very excited and you want to go see it and tell all your friends about it. So, I have to say that I was very curious about this movie, and when I watched it, I was surprised. I heard some about it from one of my friends who is an expert on horror movies, and she had seen the movie and really enjoyed it, and I have to say I enjoyed it myself too. It was good and just what you'd expect. I can't say it was very exciting and very thrilling or anything like that, but it was a good movie, and overall I'm pleased with it. It exceeded my expectations nonetheless. It was really, really good. Moving along to talk about the characters, I won't give too much away about them either. But of course, as I did say before, to reiterate, the kids of course go along to places they shouldn't be going and get butchered, of course. And also causing trouble and getting into shenanigans they really shouldn't. Just what you'd expect. And also, there is also this heartwarming character named Clay, who actually is not looking for trouble. He's just looking for his sister, Whitney. And also, just like in any other kind of movie you'd expect, there's always that anti-hero antagonist, someone you just want to punch, and that's Trent. He's a complete asshole dickhead that... I swear, while I was watching the movie, even I wanted to punch him and kick him and spit on the screen because he really just gives off that completely perfect asshole demeanor, and trust me, you're really going to feel just how assholey she is. But, as this other person once said that was reviewing this movie, also doesn't really get much of a payoff for it, any special treatment or anything like that, as you'd mostly see. But, nonetheless, they did capture the essence of having the kind of an asshole you just want to punch when you're watching a movie or a TV show. To reiterate also, the killings, as I said, were very basic and normal from what you'd see in a movie like this. But at the same time, though, they were good and really well put and kind of surprising here and there, especially in one scene with an arrow through a character's head that Jason had shot himself. Because that makes you think. A lot of the time in his movies, Jason will throw his machete or a knife or something else, and you'd be surprised at how accurate and excellent his aim is despite being a hydrocephalic retard. Yeah, so, as I said, the killings are plain and very, very bland and everything like that, but at the same time, they're what Jason would do, I'd have to say. We could have asked for more unique killings like I've seen in his other movies, but overall, they were good. Nothing wrong with them there either. So overall, it really was a pretty good movie. You got to really see a whole new different perspective of Jason actually being a bit smarter than he usually is, because in this movie, much like in the second one, he's actually kind of alive and yet at the same time still retaining his usual image. It's also really cool that you get to see him finding his hockey mask, his trademark, in a whole different new light than you see in the third movie. So, if you're a fan of Friday the 13th and you don't mind seeing a remake of a movie, I say go check it out. It's actually very good. It's good in a very basic kind of a way, yet with a few enhancements you wouldn't really expect very much, especially from Jason Voorhees himself. So, overall, it's a good movie. I think you'll really enjoy it. So, that's the end of the review for today, and hopefully we'll see some more next time. Enjoy the movie, kids. And remember, watch it, because Jason is watching you. Don't be naughty, and you won't die.